You and I most likely enjoy investigating and questioning and grilling people hard to reveal the biases in their ways of thinking. However, how often do we do that for ourselves? Hey, you're watching Freedom Things with Timothy Rogers, so if you're new to this channel, subscribe and hit that bell button for notifications so that you can stay up to date. My 5-year-old nephew will oftentimes ask a question, which I'll answer, and after that he'll give a follow-up question, why? And I'll answer his question and then he'll ask it again, why? And I'll keep answering and he'll keep asking until it gets to the point that I can no longer answer his question because I just cannot go any further. I'm at the foundation. Our beliefs can be related to a tower with several levels and a foundation. Every single level, which is below, is necessary for the truth of the level above it. What I mean by this is, if the top level is me believing that the sun will rise tomorrow, the level that is below it is the knowledge that it has risen every other day of my life. That is the foundational belief upon which my surface belief that the sun will rise tomorrow is dependent. So what about you, and what about me? Well, I'm going to tell you a story, actually, in order to show you how you and I can reveal the biases in our own ways of thinking. There's a famous philosopher by the name of Socrates, and according to the story, Socrates sought out a seer, the Oracle of Delphi. And what this seer told him was that he is the wisest. So, Socrates, not believing, decided to question all of the men who he saw as the smartest: politicians, workers, poets. When he questioned these people, what he would do is he would try to see if he was really smarter than them. What he came to find was that they would profess to be very wise, when in reality, they really didn't know as much as they said they knew. And Socrates saw this as an indication that he was in fact wiser, because while they claimed to know things that they didn't really know, Socrates at least knew that he didn't know, and in this he felt that he was wiser. One such situation where Socrates questioned an individual was when someone asked him if virtue can be taught, if it's inborn, or if it's received in some other way, to which Socrates replied, virtue must first be defined for them to be able to answer the question. For a very obscene amount of time, they struggled to find a definition of virtue. In fact, they never actually did. And the ironic part is that the person who was questioning Socrates has taught what virtue is to crowds of people. But what has been revealed through Socrates questioning him is he really doesn't know what virtue is. He does not know what he thought he knew. Socrates would tell him that his definitions were not good enough. Rather than defining what virtue was, he was giving examples of virtues. Just like how it is not enough when defining what shape is to just list off different shapes. It's not enough to define color by listing off colors, because Socrates was seeking a definition for virtue on its own. This method of questioning, among other names, has been called the Socratic method, after Socrates himself. How does knowing about the Socratic method help you and I to reveal the biases in our ways of thinking? We can actually use the Socratic method on ourselves by using these 5 steps for self-evaluation. Step 1, be willing to be wrong. This is the most important step, because without this, we cannot be brutally honest with ourselves. Therefore, we may not be able to think as critically. Step 2 is to choose a belief to question. Now, because we're doing this for ourselves and on ourselves, it needs to be a belief you have. Step number 3 is just like with the 5-year-old, you have to ask yourself, why do I believe this? Step number 4 is to keep asking why until you reach the foundational belief upon which every other belief above it is dependent. Keep asking why until you cannot anymore, until you get to the belief which, if right or wrong, shifts the balance of the surface belief. And finally, number 5 is to research that foundational belief to discover whether or not it is true or false. Using the Socratic method on ourselves is effective to reveal if the ways that we think are biased or unbiased, logical or illogical, fallacious or not fallacious, and even circular. Now that you know these 5 steps for self-evaluation to reveal the bias within yourself, I don't want you to go just yet. If you enjoyed watching this video, check out the other videos which I have posted. I have a couple playlists up for you to check out. If you're enjoying watching my videos, subscribe and hit that bell button to never miss out. You're watching Freedom Thinks with Timothy Rogers. See you in the next video.